Okay, I think it's time to begin. So, good morning, everyone. Get ready because today it is time for sight singing. Woohoo! Let's do it. Before we get started this morning, I want to do a little warm-up, a little singing warm-up. So this is a call and response where the singer sings something out and you sing exactly what they sing back. This is a scat song from what's publication Chop Monster 1, Jazz Language Tutor by the famous jazz pianist Shelley Berg. And in this particular exercise, we're going to do a singer's going to sing the call and then you sing the response. And she's going to sing scat syllables. I can't do scat real well, so I just kind of make up the words as I go along. But otherwise, if you can't do scat like me, sing any syllables. As long as you do this, you've got to sing the correct notes. And lastly, you need to sing out loud so I can hear you. So let's do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Do-ba-da-da.
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 Do-ba-do-da.
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 Do-ba-do-wee.
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 Do-be-a-ba-da-da.
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 Do-ba-do-wee, do-wee.
Do-ba-do-wee, do-way.
Do-ba-do-wee, do-wee.
Do-ba-do-wee, do-way.
We-top-do-all.
We-top-do-ah.
We-top-do-all.
We-top-do-ah.
Do-ba-do-do-ba-do-boo.
Do-ba-do-do-ba-do-dee.
Do-ba-da-do-ba-do-boo.
Boo-ba-da-do-ba-do-wee.
Dwee-ba-do-da-da.
We-top-do-ba-ba.
Dwee-ba-do-da-da.
We-top-do-ba-ba.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-da-day.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-do-way.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-da-day.
Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-do-way. All right, way to go. You got to sing loud enough that we can hear you. Okay, now I wanted to talk about systems today and developing a system that can help you in your singing and your sight singing, reading music. And this is, first of all, solfege syllables. Solfege is supposed to have a little accent over that first E, but I couldn't get it done. And the other thing is scale degree numbers. So solfege is a system that helps us develop relationships like do up to me up to sol. And we're talking about the tonic triad in this particular case. This piece by Shelley Berg actually is in B flat major. And so this time, either sing solfege syllables or numbers, scale degree numbers. And hopefully you have used one of these systems throughout your year, and hopefully you've sung a lot this year, because what we found out on Friday was that sight singing is a part of our exam this year, the AP Music Theory exam, along with part writing like free response question 5 and free response question 6. Now, I sing with my classes all the time, all year long, because one of the reasons is it's pretty easy for me to do because I'm a choir director. I taught choir for a long time, and I don't teach choir now. I only teach music theory these days. But let's try this song again and sing this. I'm going to do both of them. I'm going to sing on the left-hand side. You see it's 2 times, 4 times. I'm going to sing once with solfege and once with scale degree numbers. Okay, let's try it. Here we go again.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Do ba da da,
Do, 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 do.
do ba da da,
1, 1, 1, 1.
do ba do da,
Do, mi, do, mi.
do ba do da,
1, 3, 1, 3.
do ba do wee,
Do, mi, do, mi.
do ba do wee,
1, 3, 1, 3.
do be a ba da da,
Mi, so, so.
do be a ba da da,
3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5.
do ba do wee do eh,
Mi, so, mi, do.
do ba do wee do eh,
3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1.
wee da do ah,
So, 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 mi.
wee da do ah,
5, 5, 5, 3.
boo ba do do ba do boo.
So, do, so, mi, do. 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1. Mi, so, do, mi. 3, 5, 1, 3, 3. Do, de. 5, 5, 5, 5, 3, 3, 3, 1. All right, and you can see that hopefully exercises like this, normally I try and listen to the music and hear in my mind what solfege syllable it is or what scale degree number it is. But setting up these kinds of relationship can be really, really important. So that's our little warm up. We do want to look back at last lesson at the AP exam practice where we were talking about period form, repeated phrases, parallel periods, contrasting periods. And I left you with 2 pieces. The first one, I didn't tell you, I think I mentioned that it was Mozart, but I didn't tell you exactly where it was from. This is from the Mozart piano sonata, Kuschel 331. That K stands for the cataloger of all Mozart's music. Kuschel, K umlaut O-C-H-E-L. And this is from the first movement. And if we look at this, first of all, the thing that I look at is the phrases. And so we have 2 phrases here. So that makes it eligible for period form. But it also could be a repeated phrase. And if you look at this, it's close to a repeated phrase actually, because basically the only thing that's different are the cadences. I term these A and A prime because they're a little different at the end there with the cadence. But now if you look at the cadence, so we're in A major, and the first cadence at the end of the first phrase is, of course, it ends on a 5 chord, so it is a half cadence. Then if we look straight down below it, the end of the second phrase, notice that we have an A C sharp E with E in the bass. That would be a cadential 6/4. That's the downbeat of the 4th measure. And then the next chord is an E G sharp B chord, which is the 5. And it's actually E G sharp B D. It's a dominant 7th, so it's a 5/7 chord, and it ends on the 1 chord, an A C sharp E chord. So half cadence to perfect authentic cadence, weaker to stronger, antecedent to consequent. This is a parallel period. And like the one that I showed you last week, this is a textbook parallel period, okay? Let's listen. There's our parallel period. Now the next one, this is Beethoven Piano Sonata in C minor, Opus 13, and it's the Pathétique from the second movement. And we will look at this one. It's in A flat major. And the first thing, looking at the phrases, if you look at the top notes and compare the two phrases, those melodic notes are not the same. You can see that they are different. And now if we look at the end of the first phrase, well, first of all, I termed the two phrases an A phrase and a B phrase. So now we're going to look at the cadences. Once again, the first phrase ends on a 5 chord in A flat. It's an E flat, G, B flat chord. And looking down below, the second phrase ends on a perfect authentic cadence. It's a 5-7 to a 1. So in this case, this is a perfect example of a contrasting period. And if you don't know the Pathétique sonata by Beethoven, it is a wonderful piece. You should get it out and listen to it. This is the wonderful, very famous beginning of the second movement. Listen. Wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about today's lesson. Now, I want to show you some exercises today in particular that you can do to practice sight singing. And then in addition to that, we'll look at a couple of sight singing melodies. And over the next few lessons or the rest of our lessons for these online lessons, we're going to be talking about sight singing more so that we can help you prepare for the AP test. So first of all, I entitled this session, Changing Sight Singing into Recognition Singing. And that title comes from an article I wrote some time ago for the College Board. Actually, it's when I was teaching full-time at Plano Senior High School. Now I teach part-time at Lovejoy High School. I just teach AP Music Theory, and I am a College Board consultant, and I do consulting work in that way. So this was an article I wrote some time ago about sight singing. And let me just read with me at the beginning of this article that I wrote. Sight singing may not be as difficult as we sometimes make it. Liken it to reading the English language. It has been shown that beginnings and endings and patterns of letters play a major part in our ability to read and understand words. And then I found this paragraph or this kind of thing on the internet some time ago, and it had these sentences, and they were all confused, like this one. The letters were all turned around and everything, but lo and behold, you could look at it and you could actually read it. So I rewrote the sentence. Can you read this? Sight singing is not as difficult as we sometimes make it. Well, the letters in that sentence are all turned around, but we can look at it and I think any of us could read that. So the letters are not all in the correct order, and yet the mind can still make sense of the meaning by recognizing, this is important, the beginnings and endings and patterns of words. Patterns, that's such an important word in language as well as music. The human mind does not read every letter by itself, but rather groups things together in patterns that are common to the language. This concept can be applied to the skill of sight singing in the language of music as well. The recognition of beginnings and endings of melodies and patterns throughout the melody is the first best step towards simplifying the act of sight singing. Everything is not completely new, but rather the mind recognizes, there's that word again, patterns that have been seen, heard, and even sung, hopefully many times before. Chunking a melody in this way breaks the sight singing process down into fewer unknowns and makes it possible for the student to understand and read a melody based on previous experience with various rhythmic and melodic patterns and intervals. Sight singing then becomes recognition singing. Now, I hope that after we're done this morning, that sometime you will play this lesson again and read some things and look at the exercises that I produced in this article. And I've given the exercises out to my classes for a long time, even before the article. And it has really helped us get better and better so that by the time the AP test rolled around, we were ready for sight singing. And hopefully we can help you get there this year. So first of all, I did an analysis of all of the sight singing melodies that had been in AP tests. And actually sight singing began quite a while ago, but in, I think 1996. And so I looked at all of those melodies that had happened in the AP exam and found some statistics that revealed normal and predictable patterns. And I looked at the keys, the beginning and ending pitches, the beginning and ending melodic patterns. I looked for common rhythm patterns. I looked at the intervallic patterns and the most common intervals that were used in the melodies, and then altered pitches, because I can tell you that usually the second sight singing melody has an altered pitch, or maybe more than one altered pitch. And also you can look at the cadential implications of melodies. Then I went about the process of developing some solfege warm-up drills. There's my accent on solfege. That's the way it should look. I drew up some warm-up drills to aid in teaching common patterns so that hopefully we can put some things on automatic. We can practice in both simple and compound meters. We can look at a lot of things which you see there: ascending and descending major and minor thirds, ascending and descending diatonic intervals, major and minor keys, the clefs, the meters, and ascending and descending broken triads, triads in root position and in inversion. Excuse me. So a couple of things. If you look down toward the middle of that paragraph, it says, practicing patterns through singing, visual identification in different keys, and even writing will help to put recognition on automatic, so that when encountered in sight reading, the patterns will have been experienced in some way many times before. For example, ending melodic patterns. This is one of my favorite ones. Before I show you that worksheet, here's an important thing that we can remember. Melodies, the character of melodies is normally conjunct and disjunct, but very much more conjunct than disjunct. In other words, stepwise motion versus what I call skipwise motion, okay? The exam melodies that I looked at that had been on AP tests showed that 32% of the intervals were minor seconds, while 43% were major seconds. That's 75% in stepwise motion. And other intervals, as you can see at the bottom of that next paragraph, or the next sentence down there, there weren't that many skips on the AP melodies. And we'll talk about how we can figure out those skips as we go along here. Lastly, rhythm. It seems to me that oftentimes people have more difficulty with compound meter than they do with simple meter. That just shouldn't be. You know, elementary children don't have problems with compound meter. They sing all the time in that. And then it seems like by the time we get to high school, we've completely forgotten how to do that. And the other thing is now we have to visually look at it and make it come to life in sound. So we should not neglect compound meter in favor of placing emphasis on simple meter. And so in this particular figure 12 in that article, I gave you 4 of the most common patterns, 1-beat patterns in 6/8 time: quarter eighth, 3/8 notes, dotted eighth, 16/8, and dotted quarter note. I'm telling you, we'll find out a little later in this lesson that a lot of 6/8 melodies use those patterns mostly. And there'll be some other ones along the way, but if you can do most of the patterns, then you've got time to figure out the ones that aren't the most common ones, okay? So let's start looking into some of the exercises that I do with my classes, and hopefully they will help you if you practice these right now leading up. And one of the things that I would encourage you about is you need to be practicing singing every day. Sing, I mean, for 10 minutes even, practice singing. So these are from a publication called The Rhythm Reader by Audrey Snyder. And I gave you a couple of examples here. And I always joke with my classes when I start this kind of thing, because these exercises have accompaniments. So you kind of put it in context with some music, but the music, oh my goodness, it's cheesy music sometimes. And like the first one, number 57 here, this is track 28. But before I play it for you, here's what I do. This is simple duple, I'm sorry, compound duple meter. And so that means there are 2 beats to the measure. The dotted quarter note is the beat note. And so you can come up with some systems, like there's the Eastman system of counting, there's the Kodai system of counting with the ta-ta-ti-tis and all of that. Maybe some of you have used those systems, but I use the traditional counting system. So this is going to be like this for me. 1, 2, and 1, and 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 2, 1, 2, and 1, and 2, 1, and 2, and 1. So, and the next one, this has only the 3 of the patterns that we just saw on that page before. Okay, are you ready for the cheesy music? Count with me as we go. Ready?
Number 57. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, begin.
1, 2, and 1, and 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 2, 1, 2, and 1, and 2, 1, and 2, and 1, 1, and 2, 1, and 2, and 1, and 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, and 2, 1, and 2, 1, and 2. Got it? Okay, let's try the next one. Still in 6/8. And you know, 6/8 is the most common compound duple meter. So I would probably expect that oftentimes to be a lot in music. Okay, here's number 53, a little different cheesy music, not so cheesy. Ready? Here it comes.
Number 53. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, begin.
1 and 2 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. 1, 1. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So if you get used to those patterns and you can sing, you can make the pattern in with pitch, you're in business. Okay. I gave you the ultimate challenge at the end. Here
Number
it comes.
103.
Ready? This is in
1, 2, 3,
simple
4,
quadruple.
1. Ready, begin.
4 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 40 and 1, 40 and 1, 4 and 1, 40 and 1, 40 and 1, 40 and 1 and 1, 40 and 1. Get ready and 1 and 2, 40 and 1 and 2, 4 and 1 and 2, 40 and 1 and 2, 4 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 3 and 4, 2 and 3, 2 a 3, 2 a 3, 2 a 3 and a 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3, 2 a 3, 2 a 3, 1 and a 2 and 3 a 4, 1, 2 and a 3, 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2, 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 4 and 2 and 40 and 1 and 2 and 3. All right. That's cheesy music for you. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Here's one of my favorite sheets that I use. This is the ending melodic patterns. I think that if you would sing this every single day, when you get ready for the sight singing, you're going to recognize the end of the melody and you'll know how to sing it. I sing this a lot at this time of the year with my classes, and mostly they have it memorized by the time the AP exam comes up. You don't have quite as long this time, but if you would take this one right here, this worksheet, and really do it. Now, here's what we're going to do first. Let's see, I'll give myself a little pitch there. Okay, do. All of the half notes that you see, we're going to use the same do for. So I know these are in different keys, and some are in major and some are in minor. For instance, you can see the first one is in C minor. The next one is in D major. Number 3 is in D major again, but number 4 is in E minor. However, what we're looking at right now are the patterns. And what we're going to find in this particular worksheet is that the same patterns occur pretty much over and over. So I'm going to do this call and response with you. And this is going to sound really strange. Don't pay any attention to the key signature right now. We're going to sing these and I'll do them call and response with you. And because we've raised the 7th scale degree to leading tone in the minor ones, you don't know whether, if you were just listening to just the cadence, you wouldn't know whether we were in a major key or a minor key. Okay. And so here we go. Do. So it's going to go like this, and I'll leave space for you to sing back. In fact, I'll sing them twice. Re, ti, do, re, ti, do, fa, ti, do, fa, ti, do. Number 3, mi, re, do, mi, re, do. 4, so, fi, so, do, so, fi, so, do. 5, re, so, do, re, so, do. 6, la, ti, do, la, ti, do. 7, re, ti, do, re, ti, do. We've heard that one before. And then so, number 8, sol, ti, do. We've heard that one before. Number 9, fa, mi, re, do. That's like mi, re, do, an ending, and we're in B flat major there. So it would work. Okay. Number 10, sol, ti, do, sol, ti, do. We've definitely heard that one before. I don't know how many times yet. Number 11, fa, mi, re, do, fa, mi, re, do. Number 12, re, ti, do. There it is again, the re, ti, do ending. 13, sol, fi, so, do, sol, fi, so, do. Okay. 14, sol, re, do, sol, re, do. 15, re, so, do, re, so, do. 16, sol, ti, do, sol, ti, do. I don't know how many times we've heard that one so far, but it's very common. 17, sol, ti, do. Same one, just in a different arrangement. Sol, ti, do. Number 18, sol, ti, do. There it is again. Sol, ti, do. 19, re, ti, do. We've heard that one several times. Fa, mi, re, do. Fa, mi, re, do. I hope you get my point about this. There are only so many common patterns for ending melodic patterns in music of the common practice. We're going to look at this at the end when we look at actual AP melodies, and you're going to find that these happen. I normally do it real fast like this in call and response. Re, ti, do, re, ti, do, fa, ti, do, fa, ti, do, mi, re, do, mi, re, do, so, fi, so, do, so, fi, so, do, re, so, do, re, so, do, la, ti, do, la, ti, do, re, ti, do, re, ti, do, sol, ti, do, sol, ti, do, fa, mi, re, do, fa, mi, re, do, sol, ti, do, sol, ti, do, fa, mi, re, do, fa, mi, re, do, re, ti, do, re, ti, do, so, fi, so, do, so, fi, so, do, so, re, do, so, re, do, re, so, do, re, so, do, sol, ti, 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 do, re, ti, do, fa, mi, re, do. So you can sing along with me if you play this lesson back, and I would do it every day. Okay, here we go. Next, beginning melodic patterns. Now, of course, these you have to sing in the right key always. You can't sing them in different keys, except I can, because I can make everything in the same key, whether it's major or minor. For instance, the first one is in F minor. I'll play it in the right key. Do, me, sol, fa, me. Now, I've used solfege with this, and you might want to write it in. I haven't used numbers yet, scale degree numbers, but you can use, if that's your system, then write scale degree numbers in. 1, 1. Oh, I lost the pitch, sorry. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3. I'm sorry, I don't use the scale degree numbers for sight singing. I use solfege, and so it's a little harder for me to just switch over with my sight reading that way. But number 2 would be in B flat, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol. And then the next one would be this one, do, ti, do, re, mi. So you have to know what key you're in, whether it's major or minor. But I can sing these straight through I'll do a little bit of it because we're going to run short of time here if I don't hurry. Do, me, sol, fa, me, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, sol, do, ti, do, re, me. So there, I'm just singing the patterns, but notice something about the patterns. They sort of outline tonic. They are tonic and dominant. And oftentimes melodies are going to be harmonized with a one chord at the beginning because things start in tonic. All right. This is another good one to practice, those beginning melodic patterns. All right. Now, the next thing, based on that article, I made common melodic patterns to practice. And so they try and practice specific things. Like the first one, ascending major thirds and descending minor thirds. Okay. And I'm trying to keep track of the time here so that I don't run over. This one, do, mi, fa, la, sol, ti, do, la, sol, mi, fa, re, do. 1, 3, 4, 6, 5, 7, 1, 1, 6, 5, 3, 4, 2, 1. So I gave you the syllables that you can practice all of these with. And so ascending do, mi, fa, la, sol, ti, and then do, and descending do, la, sol, mi, fa, re, do. Or you can do them backwards and go re, do, re, fa, mi, sol, la, do, or ti, sol, la, fa, mi, do, descending major. And then I always go to compound meter. So here's the same exercise, but in 6/8. I didn't give the time signatures in these. Do, mi, do, fa, la, fa, sol, ti, so, do, la, do, so, mi, so, fa, re, ti, do. 1, 3, 1, 4, 6, 4, 5, 7, 5, 1, 1, 6, 1, 5, 3, 5, 1, 1, 6, 1, 5, 3, 5, 4, 2, 7, 1. Okay. So practicing in simple meter and compound meter. Then I went to perfect fourths, practicing common, well, not, they're patterns, that are common, but these are fourths. Do, fa, re, sol, mi, la, so, do, so, la, mi, fa, re, do. And then I had to make it to tonic there. So do, fa, re, sol, mi, la, all perfect fourths. And then in compound. Now, in that description above, it says this practice can shift easily. I'm not sure that's exactly the right word to use, but from simple to compound meter and from major to minor keys. And when using scale degree numbers, the system does not allow for mode change, and students must know the pattern of whole steps and half steps in the different modes. So on the bottom one down there, I switched it to compound duple and I switched it to minor. So it goes do, fa, re, sol, me, le, sol, do, sol, le, me, fa, re, do. So it's still, me, do, fa, perfect fourth, re, sol, perfect fourth, me, le is a perfect fourth. So, okay. I hope I'm not just confusing anybody with the fact that I use do minor, okay? Because do and so are always the same. Do minor means that we change the syllables and still use do for the tonic in minor, even though it changes, because if we know that in a major scale, the sixth scale degree of that major scale is actually the tonic of the relative minor scale, okay, then oftentimes we use what's called la minor. And in relative keys, it's great. So then you go la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, sol, fa, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la. And it makes that natural minor scale. You still would have to raise so to C to make a leading tone. And in do minor, you would go do, re, mi, fa, sol, le, te, do, te, le, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And then if you were going to do melodic minor, ascending, you would go do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, te, le, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, so hopefully that kind of cleared up do minor and la minor, and of course, really the solfege syllables do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do for major. Okay, now then I gave some practice for perfect fifths. Do, mi, so, re, fa, la, mi, so, ti, fa, la, do, and so on, okay? Next, I looked in those melodies and I found where the larger intervals were, like minor sixths, where it's sol, ti, do, sol, ti. That's a minor sixth. And then do down to mi, do. And I made an medium point to get you to that mi. Do, so, do, ti, la, so, mi, do, so, mi, do, mi. So there's the minor sixth, do, mi. And then sol up to me in minor. So, do, me, so, me. So these are ways that you can get at finding those larger intervals, okay? And there's major sixth, do up to la, sol up to mi, and the minor seven, sol, ti, re, fa, and fa wants to go to mi, right? It's a tendency tone, mi. And in this case, it's like a dominant seventh, sol, ti, re, fa, and then the fa resolves to mi because it's the chordal, it would be the chordal seventh. Okay, so let's look at this with regard to a couple of AP melodies. So the first one, it looks like that it is in three flats. So that's going to be E flat major or C minor. That's what we know as three flats. Well, if you look at the last note in this, it looks like it's an E flat. It begins on an E flat. So obviously this is in E flat major. And it's in bass clef. And by the way, I forgot to tell you something about the Beethoven. Did you happen to remember and notice that that was both clefs were bass clefs? Because I think sometimes we don't look carefully enough at the clef and you can buzz right by it and all of a sudden you're looking at notes and you think they're in a different clef. Like in that particular case, you might have thought that the bottom system, the bottom staff, the second phrase was in, I'm sorry, not the second phrase, the second staff was in treble clef and you would have read all the notes wrong. So it was bass clef. Okay, so this one is in bass clef and it's in compound duple. So here's what I did. I'll give you the notes there, okay? The syllables to the notes and the solfege syllables as well as the scale degree numbers. So in this particular case, try practicing these like for 75 seconds is what the AP test gives you to practice. I hope that, I'm not sure how that's going to work with us this year, but we'll find out. And at the end of our time together, we will be, giving you examples for how to do the test, okay? Including the sight singing on the test. So if we read this, first of all, it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, so the rhythm first, if you like, and then we'll take an E flat. Do, re, sol, fa, mi, it should be re, mi, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Now, going back to the first measure to the second measure. Do, re, re, mi, fa, sol, re, mi, fa, sol. Fill it in so you can find that and you don't shoot at it. Re, so, you know, that's what some people do. But do re, mi, fa, sol, re, so, fa, mi, fa, sol, la, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Okay, I'm running out of time in our lesson. Let me show you the second one quickly. Okay, now I gave this in Do minor, scale degree numbers, and La minor. Okay, and of course this would be like the second more difficult melody. Practice this one and we'll do it again at the next lesson on Wednesday. Okay, and also I'm going to give you some other ones to practice from scratch. You know, first of all, I would encourage you to view this lesson again and practice the ending and beginning melodic patterns and the common melodic patterns that I've shown you. We didn't have a lot of time today to practice them. I will practice them with you again on Wednesday. And then practice each of the following two melodies for 75 seconds using your chosen system, solfege or scale degrees, and then perform the melody. Now, I sincerely hope you have a system. If you don't, try and start to develop one now, because in your musical life, it will make such a difference if you have some kind of system to help you learn how to read music better. And, you know, systems are only a means to an end. We want to understand that, but the systems can be so valuable getting to that end, our performance of music. So take a look at these two melodies. These are actual past AP melodies that I took out of the old AP test. That was my timer for the end of the lesson. And so hopefully you will have these. I like to try and write the syllables as I'm practicing singing each one. So give yourself the first pitch, don't give yourself anything else, and practice and then perform the melody. Thanks for watching today. I hope that I've gotten you started on some practice that you want to do daily if you haven't already been doing that. But from now until the AP test, I would at least do something about singing every single day. Practice, if it's only for 10 minutes. If you want to practice longer, that's great too. I will see you again on Wednesday. Mrs. Foote will be with you tomorrow. And we'll take up sight singing again to help you get ready for the AP exam. Have a great day and practice singing.